Welcome to the College Tracker Show, your gateway to connecting Canadian athletes and non-athletes to top U.S. colleges and universities. I'm Kimberly Bass. I'm going to be your host today, and we're spotlighting Miami University. A little bit of housekeeping. As we go through the event today, if you have any questions, drop them in the Q&A box, and we'll answer them a little bit later in our program. And like I mentioned, whether you're an athlete chasing your dreams on the field or an academic enthusiast seeking the top-notch education that'll help you propel yourself forward, Miami has something exceptional to offer. So today we're going to explore the vibrant campus, the rich traditions, and the boundless opportunities that are available at Miami University. We're going to first talk to three coaches, and then we're going to bounce over and get some admissions information. So let's get going. First up, we have three coaches today. We have Coach Belk, who is the basketball coach, women's basketball coach at that. We have Coach Smith, who is the men's and women's track and cross country coach. And we have Coach Bonwith Crone, who is the men's and women's swimming and diving coach. First up, we're going to hear from Coach Belk. Coach Belk, you want to talk to us about your role, what you do at Miami University?
Yes. First off, thank you for having me. I am an assistant coach here for the women's basketball team and also director of operations. So I work with organizing all team travel, scheduling, compliance, recruiting visits, along with also being on the court during practice and helping coach the team.
Thank you so much. Coach Smith, you want to talk to us about what it is that you do at Miami University?
Thank you for having me as well. I have a lot of the similar administrative roles as Coach Belk. The only difference is there are four assistant coaches, well, three assistant coaches and a head coach for the track and field and cross country team. So I'm directly in charge of 19 athletes, those in the throwing groups and our heptathletes.
Outstanding. And I hear you were a student as recently as last year. Is that correct?
I was, yes.
All
I
right.
was on the track and field team for 5 years.
We'll have to hear a little bit more about that. Let's now talk to Coach Vaughn with Cron.
Hi there. This is my 8th year at Miami. I'm really excited to be on this call with all of you. I am the head coach of roughly 80 athletes, and I have a assistant coaching staff of 3 swimming assistants and 1 diving coach. And so we manage all the responsibilities, as both the other coaches talked about, including not only our coaching responsibilities, but our administrative responsibilities too.
Thank you so much. So adding into that, with if there are any athletes out there, any non-athletes that are considering going to the school to come to Miami University, what are some programs available to students to support their endeavors as far as is there tutoring available? What's available?
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities for engagement with some of the support systems that we have in place. There is not only individualized tutoring, there's group tutoring, there's student-led tutoring with SI sessions. We also have our Ranella Learning Center for those that need some extra help. We have some opportunities within athletics for those that may struggle with English, for example. We have some athletes that English is not their first language. And so we have definitely some availability with areas in those departments, not only within athletics, but outside of athletics.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. So, Coach Smith, having been a student yourself, you obviously went through the recruiting process. Can you talk to us about when is a good time for athletes to start reaching out to coaches, and what do they say to these coaches?
I think that it's a little bit dependent upon sport. In track and field, typically the best time to start reaching out is your junior year. During junior year, make an introduction, give the coaches an idea of what kind of marks you've hit, your academic numbers, and just kind of start that relationship. Then as you progress, if you see improvements, kind of reach back out, update that coach, let them know how you're doing. And then now that I'm like on the coaching side, I really look for personalized emails. If I see something that has like a little bit of information that shows that an athlete looked into me or the program and they took some time and they care, then that email catches my eye. But if I like, obviously I endeavor to reply to everybody, but if I get an email that looks like it's very generic, or every now and then an email from a recruiter that looks like it's been sent to 1,000 coaches, that may not always be at the top of my priority list to respond.
Outstanding. You got to be original, get personal. Thank you so much, Coach Smith. Coach Belt, congratulations on your promotion to assistant coach.
Thank you.
Outstanding. So talk to us about the facilities available to athletes at Miami University.
Yes, so our facilities are beautiful. Millette Hall, where the women's basketball team plays, seats about 6,500. Women's basketball, swim and dive, track and field, and I think baseball all share gross weight room. It's 2-level weight room facility that's state of the art.
All right. Now, coaches, this is going to be the same question to all of you, but I'll let you know when each of you can answer the question. If you think about Miami University, there's something that attracted you, of course, to the university to work there. And as a student, Coach Smith, you were attracted there. But if there's one thing that really stands out at the university, what would you say that is? Let's start with Coach Smith.
I think one of the things that is really unique about Miami is the emphasis that professors put on undergraduate learning. You have small class sizes, you have professors who like really care, and like they make an effort to get to know you. I think that at a lot of other schools, now obviously I can't speak for everyone, but there are often very large lecture halls and it can be easy to get lost in the mix. I know that I had professors who on a Monday would like have followed how I did in my athletics over the weekend and would make a comment about like rooting for me. And I thought that that was a pretty unique element of being at Miami.
Outstanding. Coach Bonewit Coach Bonewit Cron, would you like to answer that question?
I would. I appreciate you attempting that. Yeah, when you asked the question about what may have drawn us here, it's the charm. It's the charm of the university and of just the community. And it's not nestled in one area. It's really encompassing of the town of Oxford. I mean, you can literally be uptown 1 minute and then 5-10 minutes later you can walk over to Western Campus and be what feels like another world with stone bridges and creeks and just beautiful trees, especially this time of the year with the changing leaves of the fall. And so I think that this is a very charming atmosphere, and this town has a lot of really nice character.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Coach Bill.
Yes, I would definitely agree. I'd say the campus is beautiful. The professors are willing to work with our student athletes, especially with like traveling and all that. They're willing to help out in any way that they can. And just like the MAC conference.
Thank you so much. We've heard from the coaches and we've heard a lot about what's available to athletes. We are now going to switch over and learn what it takes to get into Miami University, what it takes to stay in at Miami University. And we're going to hear all about that from our admissions representative, Erin Bixler. Erin, hand it over to you.
Great, thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'll just give you a very quick overview about the university, talk about some things I think Miami does really well, and the coaches, and especially Coach Smith, who went to school here, can tell me if I'm on the right track or not, but I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen now. So you can see that. First thing I always like to do is to tell students, it's especially when I'm working with international students. I've worked at Miami University for 20 years. I've worked with international students the entire time. So one thing I always do when I start is let students know where we are. Being named Miami can be a little confusing for folks that aren't in the region. So we are Miami University in Ohio. You can see on the map there, we're located in the southwestern part of the state of Ohio. We're about 1 hour by car from Cincinnati, which is a metro area with a population of about 2 million people. So that's kind of where we are. We're not that other school that's in Florida. So we do, like Canada, we have all 4 seasons. So we have winter, spring, summer, and fall. And just to make it a little more confusing, we are in a town called Oxford, and we're not in the UK. We're in Oxford, Ohio, which is a university city. There's about 10,000 people like us that actually live here year round, and then we have about 20,000 students. So by US standards, Oxford's an inexpensive place to live comparatively, and it's a safe place to live comparatively. Just a little general information about the university. By US standards, we consider it to be like a mid-sized university. It's not too big, not too small. In total, we have about 19,000 students, but mostly undergraduate students. About 16,500 of those students are here for their bachelor's degree, and then the other 2,500 or so are our master's and PhD students. And we do have students that come from almost every US state and from over 100 countries. So again, what I like to do is kind of talk a little bit about what makes Miami unique and what makes kind of studying in the US unique as well. A big part of the university experience in the US is what you do outside of the classroom. So Miami does really well with that, even kind of outside of kind of the general kind of classes and your major and all that. And I'll talk about those a little bit later, but we do have a big focus on student life with over 600 different student organizations in which our students can participate. As you know, as you've already heard from the coaches, we have Division I athletics, and also for students who are interested in continuing on in sports, but maybe don't want to have the time commitment or aren't able to continue on at the highest level. We have a lot of other options for students too, over 600 different intramural teams where you compete against other Miami students, and 50 different club sports as well. So that's really popular amongst our students. And you can see there the picture is probably the most popular intramural sport called broomball. And that's where you kind of play like, it's kind of like hockey, but you don't have skates and you kind of hit a ball with that stick. And it's a really popular option here. What you'll see when you're looking at our website and a lot of our publications is this original public Ivy. And I get a lot of questions about that. You know, what does that mean? What's that refer to? Are you in the Ivy League? No, all the Ivy League schools are private schools, and there's 8 of those on the East Coast. But a public Ivy refers to, there's a really influential book that was written a number of years ago that listed a number of public universities that offered the educational experience comparable to what you would find in the Ivy League, but at a public university price. And Miami was one of those original schools that was listed there, along with schools like William and Mary and University of California, Berkeley, and University of Virginia, schools like that. So something we're really proud of. So you'll see that on some of our publications on some of our websites, and that's what that refers to and what that really means for our students. And Coach Smith actually referred to this already, is that they get a fantastic undergraduate experience. They get access to professors expert in the field, you know, from their first year here. We're usually rated one of the top public universities in the US for undergraduate teaching. And if you're coming here as a first-year student, as a bachelor's degree student, that's really a benefit that you're going to get. Another program that I think is unique to Miami, or that we do quite well, is this ability to combine degrees. There's 35 areas where you could actually, in 5 or less years, you can obtain both a bachelor's and a master's degree. So it accelerates the process, allows you to study for your bachelor's degree program, and then after about your 3rd year, you can start to take master's courses. In 5 or less years, actually graduate with both degrees. And popular options where students do that will be things in our business school, like accountancy, but statistics, and other majors where that's a popular option. In the US also, US universities allow students to combine their interests. So it's not uncommon to have a double major, a major and multiple minors. Miami really encourages this with its students. So once you start a program, you're not locked into just studying that. You can study, if your parents want you to be a finance major, you can study finance and be a theater minor. You can be a computer science major and a business minor. You can study really any combination of things that you like. And again, it's something that we really encourage here. In fact, 60% of our bachelor's degree students will do a double major or a major in at least one minor. And they're still able to combine those programs and typically finish in 4 years, or which is right on time. Honors programs are another area where I think we do a lot of really good work. We have an honors college, which is for about 400 new students a year. And it's a residential program where those students live together and do some coursework together and do some activities together. And then our presidential fellows program is kind of a subset of that. And I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute when we get into kind of the scholarships and kind of stuff. Undergraduate research, that's another one that I think Miami really excels at. So from your first year, you're going to have opportunities to work with professors on funded research. And about almost 3,000 students a year here at Miami will do that. And if you're interested ultimately in going to graduate school or professional school, having that research experience is really a great step up in that process. And finally, can be tricky for student athletes for sure, but we really encourage study abroad as well. We're one of the leading universities in the US for study abroad. Similarly, one of the top universities in the United States for internships too. It's a great, also kind of like research, a great resume builder when you're kind of looking on to the next step. So they're kind of some of the highlights, I think, of what Miami does. And no matter what you're doing, how many you're choosing to do or not, you still have to pick a major. You still have to do your academic program. And our majors are about 120 of them in total. They're divided into these 5 different academic divisions. And so arts and science is our largest division, and the biggest majors there would be things like biology, psychology, political science, College of Education, Health and Society. We'll find our teacher training programs, but also majors like sports management, exercise science, nutrition. Our Farmer School of Business, a very popular option. Business analytics is a major that's gotten very popular there. Also, probably with our international students, probably business economics and finance are the 2 most popular. Creative Arts College, our smallest division, traditional majors like art, music, theater, but also architecture, computer game design is actually in our College of Creative Arts. And then finally, the most popular option for our international students specifically is our College of Engineering and Computing. And our mechanical engineering, I believe, is the largest engineering major that we have. And then bioengineering is a quickly growing one. But far and away, our most popular option for our international students in that division is our computer science program. We talked about this a little bit at the beginning, but we have some great student resources as well for international students, whether they're student athletes or not, including a writing center, an international student orientation program that we host right before the start of school, student health services, which is located in a brand new state-of-the-art building that's just right across the street from them. And then I think this is really important to our Center for Career Exploration and Success. So coming to the US and studying is certainly an expensive proposition, or it can be, and definitely time consuming. So we actually have staff at the Center for Career Exploration and Success that are devoted to assisting international students post-graduation, helping them look for jobs, look for internships, that sort of thing. And that's, I think, a real value added component to a student's education. I think having a US degree has a lot of value in the international workplace. And I get a lot of questions too about coming to Oxford, Ohio, coming to a small town and being concerned about, oh, where am I going to study? Where am I going to go after? I don't want to live in a small town my whole life. I want to go to a big city. And so this is just, I always throw this slide out. It's kind of a smattering of places where our recent international graduates have ended up. And you can see it's all over the US and all over the world. But just really quickly, I want to talk a little bit about the application process, kind of the nuts and bolts of everything, and then some scholarship information, and then you'll have time for plenty of time for questions. So we are currently accepting applications for 2024 with our spring 2024 semester, which starts in January, and our fall 2024 semester, which starts in August. So the big date is December 1, which is coming up here in about 3 weeks. That's our priority application deadline for the fall for priority consideration for admission to competitive programs and for scholarships. It's also our final application deadline for the spring as well. If you want to apply for admission, and this is not uncommon, I don't think, with other U.S. universities, but this is kind of Miami specific, but a lot of it is kind of general information that can be used with other schools as well. Most schools are going to require an application of some sort. We use the common application, which is an application you can complete and submit to multiple schools. We also have our own international student application for our non-US students. It's a little bit shorter, it's a little bit easier to complete, but you can only use it at Miami. So you can do it quickly, but if you want to apply to a lot of schools, you might want to invest the time in doing the common application that you can use for multiple schools. Our international students are typically required to provide proof of English proficiency. Certainly, if you're a Canadian student and English is your first language, that is not a requirement for you. But for other students who are coming from places where English is not their first language, we would require that. We require a little bit of financial information because we do have to have that for visa paperwork. We have a very short form that we ask students to complete. And then most important thing would be your high school transcripts. And that's what we're really going to use to evaluate your academic records. Your grades that you've earned in high school, starting with 9th grade up to the current time. Basically, once you submit the application, you'll be given your own personalized application portal, and you can upload all of those documents that we require directly to that portal, or your school can submit them. Either way works for us in terms of submitting the application. And then once a student's admitted, that's when we're looking for additional kind of paperwork. This is what we need to do the I-20, which is what a student needs from Canada needs to have to enter the US as an international student. The test scores there are for English proficiency test scores, so not really relevant for our Canadian students. I will say, and this is important, we are test optional for the SAT or ACT, so you can be admitted, you can receive a scholarship from Miami without submitting the SAT or ACT score. We do review students holistically, so whatever you submit, we're going to look at be the recommendation letters, which are also optional, any test scores you want to include, and then of course your academic records. And by divisional consideration, there are some programs, the business school being the main one, where it's a two-step admission process that not everyone who applies for the business school is admitted. Some students are admitted to the university, but not the business school. And then the arts majors are going to require a portfolio typically, or an audition or something along those lines. American Culture and English program, again, is for our students who need a little extra help with English, their English as a second language students. That's something that we have for students who might need a additional semester of English preparation. And then we'll start with the bad news here. The full cost of attendance at Miami, attending the University of the United States is expensive. There's no doubt about it. At Miami, that's our 1-year cost. It's about $64,000 US per year. You can see about 40,000 of that is tuition, and then about 16,000 for housing and food. Then another 7,000 are things you're not going to be billed for, but that you probably would want to expect to pay for, like books, insurance. You have to get here, travel, that sort of thing. So that's kind of the all cost before any scholarships are considered. So that's the bad news. Good news being, we do have scholarships. These are academic scholarships for international students. The two there on the left are probably our most common, our International Education Scholarship and our University Merit Scholarships. They're both based on academics, again, on that transcript. And the International Education Scholarships could be anywhere from $2,000 to $12,000 a year. And the Merit Scholarships could be anywhere from about, say, $6,000 to up to $22,000 per year. And those can be combined to increase a student's overall scholarship award. This would, of course, be outside of any kind of athletic scholarships that students may receive. Presidential Fellows Program, I did say I would talk about that briefly. That's our full scholarship program. So we have about 15 of those a year, 2 or 3 for international students. And that's the one that pays for everything, pays for all of the students' tuition, pays for all their housing, all their food, even gives them a $5,000 stipend to do research. So super generous, but as you can imagine, very competitive. About a few thousand students apply for that for about 15 spots. And finally, going back to that university merit scholarship, these are kind of the general ranges when we're looking at a student's equivalent US GPA. And that's where those scholarships start. They, like I said, for international students, they start closer to about $6,000 and they'll go all the way up to about $22,000. That's sort of how they're broken down scholarship wise. Another thing I like to mention in terms of cost is the Miami Tuition Promise. And that is, in addition to any scholarship you have, whatever tuition rate you're going to pay your first year, you're going to pay the same tuition rate for all 4 years. We don't increase tuition for students once they're enrolled. So that's kind of nice. It does allow for some stability and predictability. It, of course, can't account for fluctuations in currency exchange rates, but it does at least let you know in terms of US dollars what you will be paying for each of your 4 years. And we think the cost is worth it. With the scholarships, we can usually make it fairly reasonable. And I think what students get out of it is really worthwhile. And so with that, that's all that I had. A very quick version of Miami University and some of the highlights, and then some of the processes we use to review and admit students.
Thank you so much, Aaron. You are spot on. I really like the original public ivy. That really stood out to me. You have a few questions. You have a few questions, and I'm going to share those questions with you. First up, a very, very popular question. Two-pronged question. One, are SATs required? And if so, if there's a writing portion, when is it required?
So in general, in terms of admission, it's no longer required. So it's something that changed that we made probably about 3 years ago, like a lot of US schools did about that time. And we haven't made it required again. So it's totally optional. Students have the choice to opt in with their scores or not. I can tell you just from personal experience, and it wasn't a popular decision. My oldest child is a first-year student in college, and I made her take it, and then we saw how she did, and then she could decide whether she wanted to send those scores to schools or not. But it doesn't hurt to have it, and you don't have to send it to, at least to Miami. You don't need to, but it doesn't hurt because there are schools that still require it, and there are schools that will require it for scholarships. We don't, but others might. So it's not a bad thing to have in your pocket just for those purposes.
Outstanding. And is there a writing requirement required with the SAT?
I think that the SAT has a writing portion, but I don't think a lot of schools require that.
Gotcha. Outstanding. Thanks so much, Aaron. Our next question, we do have another question. I'm going to read them individually because there's like 3 questions in one. The first is there aid provided for Canadian students? I think you provide that answer and said that there is.
Yeah, definitely. All of those merit scholarships that I mentioned really, really quickly are open for students from Canada for sure. So it's merit-based aid.
Merit-based, gotcha. Then the next question is, what is the average required, I'm guessing this is the average grade required and subjects needed to enter into the health and science program? So what do grades have to be and what are the requirements to get into the health and science program?
So generally for admission and for scholarships, we're looking for students, it's kind of where it starts, is at like a B average. So in the US, that would be like a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale or higher. Certainly the higher students' grades, the kind of often the larger the scholarship is because they are based on merit. In the US at Miami specifically, we're really looking for students that have a kind of a well-rounded high school background. So we're not going to not admit a student to a specific program because they're lacking a chemistry course or a physics course. So as long as they have a general kind of comprehensive high school background, there's not a set required course. Like a lot of students will ask me, oh, do I need, calculus AP calculus to go into engineering. You don't, a good math background is going to help for sure. But, if you haven't taken that calculus yet, that's something you can take here. So there's not specific course requirements. As long as you're doing well in whatever courses you're taking, you're going to be in pretty good shape.
Wonderful. One last question from Liam, and we will move on to some others. And his question is, how many Canadians and international students are typically accepted?
It can vary by year. I would say overall we had, oh geez, I'm trying to think of what we had last year. We probably admitted close to 700 total international students. Not all the students decide to enroll, of course. A lot of them will go elsewhere. And with Canadian students, we don't have a huge number of applicants or students from Canada, probably 20 or 30 a year, maybe that are admitted, and probably even fewer than that would enroll annually.
All right. I think that covers it for questions for you, Aaron. If any others pop up, I'll bring you back on to answer some questions.
Great.
Coaches, I now have some questions for all of you. I'm going to bring you all on and we will kind of divvy up the questions. Some are specific to sports and some are just really general. First up is from Lucas, and I'm going to let you all decide who wants to answer this question. I'll read the question first, and whoever wants to chime in can. So Lucas says that he's a Canadian attending a community college in New York State. He's studying exercise science and kinesiology and also playing baseball. He wants to know what the transfer process is and the best way to contact coaches at Miami U. Anyone in particular want to take that question? Maybe Coach Smith, you would like to take that one?
Yeah, I know the best way to contact me is always going to be email. As far as the transfer process, I know that if it's transferring from another NCAA university, they need to be in the transfer portal before they can reach out to one of us. Well, they could reach out, but we wouldn't be allowed to respond. But if they're in the clear to communicate with us, one of the best ways is to send a transcript to us. We can send it to our compliance people and see what would transfer and what wouldn't.
Outstanding. Coach, would any of the other coaches, would you like to add to that? All right. Let's add, I have another question, and it looks like this one is directly for women's basketball. So that means Coach Velk, it's directly for you. It comes from Robert, and he actually has another question as well that we'll cover. But his daughter plays basketball, and she's looking for a Division I scholarship for next year, and she's just wondering if there are any open scholarship spots, and if the school is looking for any amazing basketball talent.
Yes, we definitely do have positions available. I'd say a way to reach out is through email, kind of just introducing yourself, then also providing game film.
Outstanding. You answered his next question, which what would be her next step? And he had a follow-up question, and this may be more so for Aaron. And Aaron, I'll bring you on to maybe answer this question. And the question that Robert had was, are you aware of any issues with transferring degrees back to Canada?
I am not. As long as the university that you're attending in the US has a regional accreditation, I think you're going to be fine. I think you might run into trouble if you're looking for like professional licensing, then you'd have to ask some more questions. If you wanted to get an engineering degree in the US but work in another country, you'd have to make sure that you would be eligible to do that. So that would be one kind of instance where you might want to do a little further digging. But in general, it's not been an issue that I've heard of or encountered.
All right. Now we have one last question, and that is from Kelly. And we actually had another question just pop up. This question is in regard to baseball. And the question is, what's the range of the scholarship amount? Coach Bonwit Crum, can you maybe answer that one?
Well, certain sports are going to be head count sports where I hate to say it this way, but it is an all or nothing. We are not, we are an equivalency sport. So when you're talking about equivalency sports, and I wouldn't know the degree to which baseball is, I think they're an equivalency sport, then we can break up scholarships and we can spread those out. And a lot of that is contingent on the talent level in which it relates not only to the team, but especially, and I'm only speaking for our program, how their time specifically would rank within the Mid-American Conference and then how they would rank nationally. So that's how we would divvy up scholarships and be able to, communicate that to those who are in need. And then one nice thing about Miami is that we're able to stack scholarships. And that's something that we always explain on calls is that whatever merit aid they receive, we can stack an athletic scholarship right on top of that.
Outstanding. We have one more question for you that is specific to swimming. And the question is, does the tuition cover all extras, such as traveling to out-of-state swim meets?
Well, so within our program, those who make the travel team, their expenses do get covered. So when we travel out of state, we'll typically take a bus, and then everything is covered: their transportation, their food, anything else they need. If they need any medical attention, we will pay for that as well. So that would be included in their opportunity competing for us.
Thank you so much. I think that we have covered all questions. There's this one question from Liam, and I think, Aaron, you may have answered this one, but I'm just going to ask just in case. Liam asked, what are the types of scholarships offered to Canadians, both academic and sport?
Yeah, I mean, I think both. Merit, like I said, we have merit-based scholarships for students from Canada. One thing I get asked a lot that we don't have is students will ask if we have need-based financial aid, and unfortunately we don't for international students, for non-US students. That's only reserved for US students, but we do have a lot of merit-based aid, which are academic scholarships, and then they would be eligible based on other factors, of course, on being considered for athletic or other scholarships. But for our merit scholarships, everyone who applies for admission, the international students, they're automatically considered. So there's no separate process for that.
Thank you so much. Well, there it is. We've heard about all the goodness there is for Miami University, but coaches and Aaron, before you go, I have one last question, and we are going to actually start with Aaron. And that question is, what is your favorite part of Miami University? And Aaron.
Well, I've been here a long time, so I must like something about it. I think my favorite part is that with my job, I can help students and I can work with students, and I really enjoy that. The students that come here are great, and especially the students that are coming from a long ways away. I really have a lot of respect and admiration for them, and that they come here to rural Ohio, and they do really cool things, and it's neat to watch.
Thank you so much, Coach Bill.
I would definitely say the people in the community around campus.
Coach Smith.
I would have to second the comment about the community. Like during my time, you walk across campus and it would be virtually impossible to not see someone that you knew and were friends with. And there's a pretty cool like network of people rooting for each other across sports teams, across different academic divisions.
Excellent. And Coach Bone with Chronic, let me guess, is it when people on campus pronounce your name right? No, I'm just kidding. But what's the favorite thing for you at Miami University?
That's part of it. It's what they were all saying, the close-knit community, and also the level of safety on our campus is tremendous. And so it's nice to know, especially having 3 young children myself, that there is a high level of safety on this campus.
Outstanding. Well, there you have it. If you're looking for a school where the campus is safe and you have everything you need to succeed, and a school that is the original public Ivy, give Miami University a try, or at least a look, whether you're a student or whether you're a student athlete or not an athlete. Again, we thank you for joining this episode of the College Tracker Show. and we look for you to see us on our next episode. Have a great day.